All right, guys.
Everyone,
Well,
no, oh,
oh,
I'm
go
waiting
ahead.
for
Go
you, bro.
ahead. Go ahead, Lewis. Go ahead, Lewis.
How
You
you
do,
good?
you do the intro. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey everyone, welcome again to our weekly Amazon training, and tonight's gonna be great because we have my friend Steve here. So I've known Steve since man, a long time ago, like 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
He's one of the very first people who helped me with my credit journey. So he cleaned up my credit. He helped me get my credit cards in the beginning. He was the very first people who introduced me to OPM, right? That's one of the biggest reasons why I started Amazon is because I learned that I should leverage my credit cards. But like the credit cards are not meant to be used to be buying like Louis Vuittons, right? It's meant to be leveraged to do businesses like Amazon so we can create cash flowing assets, right? So yeah, so that's Steve. And he's going to be here tonight just to share some strategies with you guys as far as getting more funding for Q4. If you guys don't know, Q4 or the holiday season is when we make the most of our money, right? So yeah, but in order to make money during the holiday season, you need to fund your products. And the common problem during Q4 is that people run out of capital to fund the products because the volume is so crazy. So before we start the Q4 season, I want to bring in Steve here. That way he can help you guys get more funding before we start Q4, in about 2 months. So with that being said, you're Steve.
All right.
For being
Perfect.
here, bro.
Yeah. Thank you for the introduction. Happy to see everyone on here. Thank you for your time. And I hope as many people can take advantage of this opportunity going to Q4 to maximize your fundability rate and inventory so that you can use it to make more income on income, right? Um, to start off, just sharing quick history of mine. I've been doing credit restoration for about like 11 years now going in. I've done funding for about 3 years total. So I've helped over 1,500 clients as far as repairing their credit, fixing it to be able to get approved for credit lines, scale their business, buy their dream home, buy their dream car, and then also over 400 business owners scale and expand their e-commerce, real estate, brick and mortar portfolio to do business and make more revenue. So that's kind of my background. I'm on social media and Instagram. As far as the value today, I have like 8 things that I lined up for you guys. I know everybody probably has different background in terms of their credit and e-commerce. Some of you are newer, maybe a couple months in. Some of you have been with Lewis for about maybe 2, 3 years. Um, when he started launching his e-commerce group. As far as funding, there are a few different criterias that we look at that gets you the most I guess this is the minimum criteria that you guys need in order to get anywhere between standard 50,000 to $100,000 in 0% business credit lines. And as far as starting off with number one is looking at your current credit history. That will kind of determine the projection of how much credit lines that you will get approved for. So the first thing I kind of look at is number one on Credit Karma or Experian.com. I recommend Experian. Purchase the 3 credit bureaus. If you click on Equifax or TransUnion tab, you just pay $26 and you can review all three of your FICO score. The reason I don't really check Credit Karma is Advantage Score is a fake scoring model. It's like a 20 to 50 point difference. So I don't really recommend it. But if you go on Experian, pay for the 3 bureau, it's worth it so that you can really look at, hey, this is what the banks look at in order for you to maximize your credit cards, right? So once you get your score, what I like to do is look for, hey, do you have over 720 credit score on all 3 bureaus? Right. That's number one. Number two is do you have an average credit history between 2 to 3 of your cards, if not more personal cards, of more than 15 to $20,000 in credit card limits? Right. And then third thing I would look at is do you have at least 2 years of credit history? Right, combined with all your credit cards, right? And that would kind of determine, hey, like I could possibly get anywhere between 50 to 100K very, very easily. Not even using banking relationships, you can simply apply online and do it yourself. Um, Third thing would be, hey, is your personal credit cards paid down below 30%? I know with Amazon e-commerce, you guys try to max it out every single month. In order for you guys to do funding, you got to take at least one. month cycle, like 30 to 40 days, to not spend any money on ad spend or inventory. You got to put it on pause, unfortunately, to in order for you to maximize your fundability rate. Like I know Lewis had to do that so that he gets more credit cards and apply for more funding and then immediately use it towards the inventory, right? So that would be number one is just pausing it for 30 to 40 days, decreasing your usage to under 30%, ideally 10%, but if you can't, 30% or below is still good. Once you get yourself funded within 30 to 40 days, right? And then you could use it more towards inventory. But let's say, hey, I got family to feed, like I don't have all the time in the world and I need funding ASAP. I recommend still getting it under 30% and below and just getting a charge card, getting like an Amex Platinum or a gold card where they don't really have a physical limit. As long as you're spending well, and you build 1 or 2 months of history, there the sky's the limit with those cards. You could get anywhere between 10 to 50,000 or even 100,000 per month on spend, as long as you pay it every single month, right? So that's another thing, right? If you don't have like 1 to 2 months, I recommend just getting a charge card right away and not doing any funding. The whole point of this 0% business credit card funding is so that, let's say we get you or you get yourself 50 to 100K, you can max everything out and you have 12 to 15 months to pay that entire balance back, right? And by then, when you scale it for 1 to 1.5 year, you're going to be able to obviously, maximize your profit margins and your gains in order to slowly pay that back within a year and a half time frame so that you can pay back in full. Like, with Lewis's method, I know everybody can do that, right? So I'm not too worried about 12 months or 15 months. Like as long as you use it responsibly and save up, 20 to 30% of your profits and keep paying it back, you'll be able to pay it back within 12 to 15 months. That's the goal, right? And so you have that flexibility where you don't have to pay it back every 30 days or 60 days with the Amex Plum card. You have more flexibility of 12 to 15 months, right? And also doing the business credit card that are 0%, like let's say Chase, Wells Fargo, every credit union, they offer 0% business cards. When you max out your business credit cards, it doesn't hit your personal credit score at all. So when it comes to, let's say, hey, I need another business loan or a personal loan, or I need to refinance my home because the interest rate cut, right? You could use your personal credit immediately to basically, refinance or get other approvals within your personal boundaries, right? Within your personal credit, not affecting the business at all. They're two separate things. And so another thing that we look at is as far as your LLC. If you have docs of 2 year tax return, it's great. It helps your funding by 10 to 20% more. But if you have a brand new LLC, you're still fine. Most of the business credit card funding, as long as you have a LLC of some kind, whether it's brand new or aged or have 2 years tax return, you can still do it by having good personal credit. That's what they mostly base off of. So you just need an LLC of some kind. And as far as inquiry removals, if you have, few inquiries, like more than 2 or 3 inquiries in the last 12 months, then you do need to ideally remove that before applying for funding. Because if you have, three or more, then your fundability rate goes down significantly. So you would have to dispute those with the credit bureaus, whether you do it yourself, look for dispute methods on ChatGPT or online or on Google. You would have to test try it and to get that removed. Or the fastest thing I know is calling Experian and just saying, hey, these inquiries are fraudulent and unauthorized, and then they will remove that within 24 hours. That's only for Experian. TransUnion, Equifax, you do need to send actual physical disputes, and they'll respond once every 30 days. And if you want to take this out of your hands and have a company that does it for you, I could do it, or any other repair companies that is trustworthy, can do it for you as well, as far as the inquiry removals. So that's another thing. And then the very next thing would be, hey, do I have other negatives that's impacting my credit score, right? Other than inquiries, such as late payments or collections, charge offs with the banks, right? If you have more than one or two of these accounts, the likelihood of you getting funding is very slim. So you would need to leverage, if you have a partner in your family or a family member, leverage their credit if they have over 720 plus, and then get credit cards or charge cards in their name, and then just kind of have like be a partner with it. That's the only other way you could possibly do it. If you have a lot of charge offs, you have to go through credit repair, either with us, our agency, or someone else that's vetted. You do your due diligence and get those negatives off the report, and then we could go back to step one, lower your usage, take off the inquiries, and then apply for credit cards, right? But you would need to rebuild it. It's a whole deletion, rebuilding process, deleting inquiries, paying down the debt. So it's a whole process, not an overnight thing, right? So if you do have a lot of negatives, it's a bit harder for you, but you got to take it one step at a time and go with an agency to go through the deletions, and so we can start over and build a fresh new file. Okay. um and then let's say, hey, you have 720 plus credit score, you remove a couple of inquiries off your report, and you have no negatives off your report, right? Yeah, you got no collections, no charge-offs, and 720 plus score, right? At least 10K and personal credit limits. Let's say it's like a bare minimum credit file for you to get over 50K in funding. The first thing you would do is apply for two business credit cards with Chase. Chase has Chase Inc. and Chase Business Unlimited. Those two cards on the business side generally gets us, our company, the biggest limit possible. Anywhere between the bare minimum beginner, as the profile I mentioned, you'll probably get about 25,000 to 25,000 on each card. So that's like about 50,000 in 0%. If you have ideal file close to like 750 plus, and uh, is someone? Oh, sorry. I thought someone was talking.
Or just background noise.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay. Like 750 plus score, and you have no negatives, no increase on your report, you have over 20,000 credit limit, then you'll probably get approved for 50 to 75,000 off of each Chase card. Like I do this for a lot of my clients, and we also go through a relationship manager, and bank managers with each company. That's how we're able to pull so much limit. But even if you do it yourself, you're gonna get higher limits with Chase than any other company. Okay. So we apply with Chase, two of the Chase business first, and back to back, it'll be the same exact limit of what you get approved on the first card, 80% of the time. So we get clients on average 100 to 150K on just two credit cards alone, with most clients that do qualify and that has over 780 credit score. So the bare minimum you should get approved at least 20 to $50,000, like off the Chase cards. If you have at least 720 plus score with 10K credit limit combined on, two, three credit cards that you have, that's personal. And as long as you pay down your usage below 10 to 30%, right? And your business credit limit, if you have other credit cards, you want to pay that down to 30 to 50% or less. If you max out the business side and you have a perfect credit score, still you might run the risk of them giving you a lower amount because they do check the business side as well internally through the bank. So um, watch the usage, make sure it's 10K plus in credit cards, and at least two or three personal credit cards, two primaries, and then 720 plus. That's the minimum requirement for you to get at least 50,000 or more in business credit cards, just with Chase, and then maybe another company like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, GS Bank, which is Goldman Sachs, right? They usually approve you for on average 20 to $40,000 per card. So those are the few banks that I would apply, but in order Chase and get the two business credit cards. And the next will be Goldman Sachs Bank, with Marcus. It's called Marcus Card. They usually do 20 to 40K. Bank of America, they have one business credit card, that's 0%, as well as Wells Fargo. They normally do about 20 to 45,000 on every single card. The only thing with Wells Fargo, though, you have to open, if it's a brand new account, you do have to open a card for 60 days plus. Open the business checking account. That's the only company that requires you to open 60 days plus in order for you to kind of max out the credit limits. Any other company, you could open it within a week, and then we can start funding right away. Okay. Wells Fargo does take 60 days plus so that you can get the maximum limit. Okay. And then the third party companies, the other smaller institution will be credit unions in your local branch. If you're in the East Coast, it'll be Truist. If you're in the Midwest, it'll be like Omaha and like a couple other banks. like credit unions just like nearby in your city, in your area. Every state and city is different. In the West Coast, you have like America First, and a couple other small branch companies that does fund you 30 to 40,000 really, really easily, and with all with 0%. Um, and a few of the other banks that I would mention aside from America First, Truist would be like Citibank, US Bank, Elan Financial, that's like a Midwest branch and an East Coast branch. Elan is ELAN Financial. And then there's other ones in the East Coast and Midwest that's called PNC. So those are all the ones that we apply that we get the highest 0% credit limits for on the business side. Um, After that, once you max out your funding, hey, you got to approve for 4 or 5 credit cards. And then 1 year goes by, you're like, hey, I paid majority of these off. If not, I paid off the whole balance. I want to do another round of funding so that I can scale my other stores or make brand new stores, right? For my other e-commerce stores, right? Um, you can do it again, but if you're only looking for 0% cards, then you would need to get another LLC, whether it's like you have a business partner or your family, your spouse, right? You would need another LLC so that you can repeat the cycle again on the business side. So that's what I recommend. That's kind of the whole blueprint from start to finish, what I would do and the minimum criteria. So you could get at minimum 50,000 or more in funding. And if you need to do it again and you max out, hey, I have 12, 15, 0% cards, then now you can't use the same LLC because you're tied up, right? So now you need to get another LLC, even if it's brand new with zero history, no tax returns. These business credit cards are no doc. They don't check tax returns. They don't check any of your history. If you give them tax returns, you have better odds on getting more. But if it's a brand new LLC, they do not care as long as your personal credit file is above 720. And I mentioned those things, at least 10K credit limit combined with just your personal, and then under 30% usage on your personal and under 50% usage on the business side. Okay. So those are everything that they look at. And minimum hard inquiries. If you need to dispute that, do it on your own. File dispute letters, and or if you want an agency to do it on your behalf, I have my agency, or you could, talk to other agencies that are out there. There's millions of companies that are out there, right? So those are everything from A to Z that I recommend for everybody to do in order to get at least a $50,000 in their credit file. And if you have negatives that's posted on your credit report, more than 1 or 2 late payments or collections charge-offs, or you have a lot of inquiries, you will need to go through an agency to do it for you, unless you're going to do it yourself. But it's a lot of trial and error, like rules and regulations with FCRA, Federal Consumer Reporting Act, changes on every quarterly basis. So there's new updates. Some old tactics don't work, and there's just a lot of headache. Just like with ecom, there's always going to be something that pops up, new regulations, new rules, right? That restricts you from scaling, right? And so it's the same thing with credit repair. So if you want everything kind of done for you system and taken out of your hands so that you can focus on your business, is going through some type of an agency, whether it's with me or somebody else. So that's pretty much it on the funding side. And I do have two good news with the sign up bonuses. If you do have the minimum criteria of 720 plus and you do not have a charge card yet, meaning charge cards are like American Express, like Gold, Platinum, or Plum Card. There's 2 cards that are very, very good for e-commerce and for you to take advantage of a lot of sign up bonuses so that you can fly, for free, get hotel stays for free. Like I turn these points and leverage these points a lot when I fly out to Europe or Asia with, my girlfriend or my mom, so that I don't have to pay for all these thousands of dollars in expenses on hotels and flights. And so 2 of the cards are, one of them is Plum. American Express Plum card is good for e-commerce because you pay every 60-day intervals. So it just gives you an extra month for you to pay off the balances. So that's really good if you, hey, if you, do Amazon or have any delayed payouts just in case, right? You have up to 60 days to pay that principal amount off. So instead of 30-day cycle, it's 60-day cycle. Second credit card, if you type in like verbatim on Google, Resi, RESY, and I'll type this into chat, RESY, Resi, Partnership American Express. Resi Partnership American Express. If you click on the link on the Resi Partner website with American Express, they give you a platinum card offer that trumps any other credit card like in the world right now with the sign up bonuses. On average, if you have American Express Platinum card on the personal side, they give you only 80,000 to 100,000 sign up bonus when you hit a minimum spend of, let's say, 8,000 or $10,000 in 6 months, right? But this credit card offer gives you 100,000 sign up bonus to begin with. And you have to spend at least $8,000 in 6 months, which is really easy with e-commerce or just dining out in 6 months. You could easily spend that. And then when you spend each dollar you spend on dining out or any foods, or some, I think groceries can apply too. I have to double check, but any dining, potentially groceries, and any spend that you do. So $1 gives you 10% cash back basically. So every dollar gives you 10 points. And that's unheard of because American Express Gold Card gives you 4%, and that's the best that's out there. But that Resi offer, since it's partnership with like a table booking and a reservation company for dining, for luxury dining, they give you 10% cash back on all transactions with dining and maybe groceries. So that's like 10%. That's getting 10% cash back on each spend when you're dining out. So that's you can do that up to 25,000 in spend within 6 months, and there's no limit. You still get 10% off of every spend. So that's getting you up to, if you spend $25,000 in dining, right? And then you obviously hit at least $8,000 spend of any kind within 6 months, that gives you up to $350,000 in sign up bonus, which like you can't do that with American Express. The most they ever give you as sign up bonus is 125,000 to $150,000. Even I've been with Amex for 12 years and I never get those kind of offer. So this is exclusive and it only happens like maybe once every 2 years. And I just saw this offer and I got the card a few months ago. And so I don't know how long this will last, but if you do have 720 plus score with very minimal negatives and you already do have an American Express, your likelihood of getting approved is like 90%. So I would encourage you to get these sign up bonuses. It could go a long way. And I would never cash out these points because if you spend on travel and you do it right and you do some points hacking, which if you have questions, you can just DM me on Instagram. I'll send you free resources and material. You can get your each dollar or each point that you have goes 5 to 10x when you use it towards travel. But if you cash it out, that 350,000 points is only worth like 3,500. But if you use it towards travel, like business class or nice luxury stays, your dollar value goes up like 5 to 10x when you use it towards travel. So that's why I love it so much on these sign up bonuses. Really worth it when you travel with you and your loved ones or with your kids. I would encourage you guys to use these benefit while it's out there because it's a limited time offer. So that's just everything about the funding that I had. And as far as the business credit cards and then the platinum with Resi, and just kind of want to open the room for any questions you guys had or any issues you guys are challenges you guys are dealing with currently.
Yeah, and I
So
just want to say too that I've seen Steve like practice what he preaches. I mean, he launched a restaurant using his funding plays. He currently has an Airbnb, leveraging his credit card. He's done e-com in the past, and he's launched a lot of businesses in the past. So, I've seen Steve like do this himself. So I would take his advice. Is what I'm saying. Go ahead, Dion.
hey Steve, thanks for the talk tonight, man. It's been pretty cool so far. With you being big into credit card points and traveling and whatnot, are you much into MS and churning?
I used to churn a lot, like 4 or 5 years ago when it was new and it was popular, but I know a lot of churners in the industry still that does it through like Simon gift cards and with Chase or PayPal, but most of them they get flagged and they get their Chase account suspended or their American Express suspended. I don't do it because Amex and Chase is like my lifeline for my business. And any other business, bank, there's plenty of business banks out there, right? Wells Fargo, credit unions, but it just doesn't trump the benefits that I'll be getting in the long term for loans or others lower APY business loans. Like I pre-qualify for 500K to $1 million in Chase in Amex, and if I lose that bank because I'm trying to get a quick 2-3% cash back for travels, like for me, it's not worth it. Like if I didn't have a legit business and I had my, corporate job and like I was making good money through that and I could risk my accounts, by all means, I think that's fine to churn and people still do it. I have my friends still do it, but I just don't want to risk my business accounts or my personal accounts potentially with them. And I have a lot of credit lines and future opportunities to do with them. So personally, I don't recommend MS, but there's a lot of people who still do it. So if you're willing to risk, like your Amex or your Chase or other checking accounts, hey, the sky's the limit. Like people still do MS these days.
Yeah, I agree, especially with those two. You're right. Amex in particular for me is just life line, like you said. Chase is
Exactly.
pretty great as well. My next question for you would be, how effective are you at removing inquiries?
Yeah, inquiries with our company, it takes about 30 to 60 days to remove 80 to 100%. Usually we do within the 30 days in our first round, remove majority of it, if not everything. It's about 80 to 100%. And then on the second round, we usually get everything off, which is 30 to 60 days. So pretty effective. On Experian, we take about 1 week to do the deletion, sometimes in 48 hours. But the rest of the bureau, they do take a longer time to respond. They only respond once a month. Experian reports in real time. So that's why we could delete it so quickly. Um, Equifax and TransUnion takes every 30 to 40 days to respond. So I would say 30 to 60 days if you're doing all of the bureau. If you're only doing Experian, hey, you only have to wait like a few days to a week and it'll be deleted.
Yeah, I've definitely tried to structure my credit card strategy and banks in general for those that only check Experian just because of how easy it is with terms of
Right.
removing their information.
Yeah, super easy. All you have to do, free game for everybody. And some people, don't condone this method because it's like you're saying for the wrongful reasons, but anything for me, anything to get the job done is my goal. Anything to keep the client happy. Instant result is always the name of the game for me. So I'm just gonna, tell you what works for me. If you want instant results and you're the client who's trying to just dispute your Experian inquiries off your report, when we do it, we send dispute letters. Okay. But we can't call on behalf of you because it's illegal. So when you do it for yourself, you can call Experian and I can give you the Experian rep number. And it's because if you call the general phone line, nobody's going to answer. So I'll give you the Experian rep number. You call the dispute department and the billing or the dispute department and then say, hey, all these this and this and this. These are my inquiries that I need to remove. And the reason why I'm removing is because they're fraudulent and it's unauthorized. And then they're going to remove your inquiries within 24 to 48 hours. That's the best and easiest way you can get these accounts deleted. But you want to make sure you only delete the inquiries that are not attached to an open account. Meaning, if you have 2 or 3 credit cards or business credit cards, and those Chase or Wells Fargo inquiries hit on your Experian, you don't want to delete those accounts. Like you, because if you do delete it, half of the time they might shut your account down because you deleted that inquiry. So to avoid any potential, issue or account shutdowns, I would only delete the inquiries that for sure that you applied in the past and you got denied, rejected, or you closed the account, whatever happened. Like those accounts are the only ones not attached to open accounts that you should delete. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so that's the easiest way for TransUnion Equifax. There's no other way to do it on the phone. You have to send dispute letters on your own. And the easiest way to do it, obviously, there's Google information and Google Forms. Are they effective? Are you going to get it done maybe in 1 or 2 months? Probably not. But if you, another way that you could do it a little more effectively is if you just go on ChatGPT and ask for different variations of dispute letters, say, hey, like I want to delete my inquiries off of TransUnion X and Experian. Give me 3 different letter templates that I could use that are aggressive and fast removal process to be able to send to the bureaus and the exact process, exact step-by-step process. And then they'll give you a whole guide, and then you could just send it in. I've seen it work where I recommend it to other clients and they did it, and like, hey, I remove all my inquiries in like 2-3 months. Like it was just like a lot of filing, and I don't, it was their first time, but it does work. So it's a multiple rounds that you have to do, send certified letters, first class mail, but it does work. Takes a little bit longer, but it does work. So that's another free strategy that you guys can do. And if you you just ask for more variation of aggressive letters, and they give you different templates.
What does the fee structure for your credit repair agency look like?
Yeah, so the fee structure for anyone in the group, I obviously give a pretty good discount. As far as inquiries, it'll be the discounted price depends on how many you have. If you only have a few, like it'll be around $500. But if you have a lot, I'm talking you have like 10, 20, 30, 40, then it will be to be discussed. But it wouldn't be like more than like $100 to $200 increase from the flat rate. It just depends how many you have because it costs us more labor and time for us to dispute those things. So for us, it's just about the timing, right? And how much labor that goes into it. So that's pretty much it on that. So starting 500, and then if you have like 20, 30 inquiries, it might go up in like an extra 100, if that makes sense. So that's it for the
Yeah.
inquiries part. As far as a repair, I can't give an exact quote. I always offer a 30% discount anybody in Lewis's group, but it's just because it varies so much. Some people can have a couple collections, and I could give a really low rate of like 1,100, 1,200. But let's say you have 15 different charge off and you have 40,000 in medical bills, student loans, and collections. Now it costs us 4 times more work, right? And 4 times more letters that we have to do. So it will increase by more than a few $100, right? Like a few $100 more. So it is to be discussed, kind of varies. I want to make sure like the reason I don't do a flat rate for everybody is because on that part is I want to charge fairly. Like if you have minimal work, I'm going to charge you the minimum that I can. But if you have a lot of work to do, like it's unfair for me to charge everybody the same on that part. Inquiries is very easy process and it's streamlined. But for credit repair, it depends on which bank it is and what type of account it is, how new it is. It could be more challenging. So that's why it's kind of custom. But I would like to say minimum to start off, even with a very small removal account, like starting like 1,000, and then it could go up to like 14, 1,500. Just depends on how aggressive it is. Like if you have bankruptcies, okay, like it's going to be like a little more, right? So but that's all case by case. If you just send me your information, I could give you a free quote and a consultation on, hey, this is what's on your report, this is what you need to do, whether you hire me or another agency for a quote, this is just what I offer. And with our company, that's different. I offer guarantees on certain things that I can remove for sure. And certain things that are like, hey, like 60, 70% removal rate, but third party collection agencies, inquiries, I guarantee everything to come off within a 90-day period. So if I don't get those off, you get up to your full money back minus the cost of, the labor. And so that's what's different for us. And it's very aggressive, like 1 to 3 months, maybe 1 to 2 months. Other agencies, you might pay them lower monthly, $100, $200 a month, but you never know when they're going to get the job done. So that's kind of the difference with us.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely fair. And would you say uh, age of account, right, within the last 12 to 24 months, is that a big factor when securing funding?
Yeah. I recommend to try to have at least a year and a half to 2 year credit history. And you need a minimum primary of 2 to 3 accounts. Primary means personal credit cards, not including authorized users, just your own. Um, and you want at least $10,000 in personal credit limits. Okay.
Well, I was thinking more so on the other side of it, where maybe new accounts is the amount of new accounts you have within the past
That
12, 24
affects
months a factor.
that affects huge. That decreases your chance of getting funding slightly. Depends on how many you have. If you have one card, let's say you have a 10K credit limit, 720 score, no negatives, right? And you have minimal credit inquiries. You got one card, another card, and it gives you a 10K limit. Now your credit limit is 20,000. That's a good thing, right? And but you got this like a month ago, but you're trying to apply for 50K or more in funding. You do have a slight less fundability rate. It doesn't affect you a lot. But if you got, let's say, hey, I got 4 cars recently, totaling up to 15K on 4 cars, and I already have another 2 cars. Now your age goes from, let's say you had 2 years to begin with, right? And you got 4 cars. Now your age goes down under 1 year. Now your chance of getting funding is super slim because you apply for too many cards and now you're a risk to the banks. Does that make sense? So you trying to apply for more funding, you got to do it all at once. And then that increases your age, right? Let's say there's a bridge with like 2 legs and then you got 4 more, right? Now it's now you gotta sorry, maybe that was a terrible analogy, but like now it's now you have a lot of new fresh credit cards, right? But now you have too low of an age. Banks see you as a big risk now because hey, he borrowed money successfully XYZ amount of time, 6 times. That's great. But he applied all within 1 week. Like, what's going on? Right. So for us, when we do funding, we do all at once to the max amount and try to get you 5 to 8 credit cards. Because what happens now is that you're building age. Now your age might have decreased a little bit. If you get business credit cards, it doesn't really touch your personal. But let's say you got personal and business. You got like 4 or 5 different accounts approved, right? Now your age decreases significantly. Now you have to wait it out, like at least 6 months before you apply again. And then when you do apply again, now you have all these 6 or 8 credit cards building up to a stronger credit age. So when you do apply it one more time, let's say 6 months or a year down the line, your credit file, your foundation is really is like bulletproof. Even if you get another 4 or 5 cards, your age won't affect each other. Like your age will barely go down from when you first went down from 2 years to like 8 months in credit age. Now you're building with like 7, 8 different credit cards. Your age, even if you apply for 3, 4 more, it'll only go down by like 2, 3 months because you have more credit history with more cards, with more lines, right? More foundation. So yeah, hope that kind of answered your question on that part. Age plays.
Yeah, it did. And this is one thing I've learned in my experience with Chase in particular is a factor because they don't want to approve you for new credit cards if you've opened up more than
Yeah, the
five within the
524 rule.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's one
yeah,
thing.
that's a
Yeah,
big
that's the one reason why we look at your file before applying for Chase if you do qualify. But you want to do 2 Chase off the bat right away. That's what we recommend. Yeah.
And that's also another reason why I love Amex too, is that when you apply for new credit with them or a new card, they don't pull your credit report. They just do a soft inquiry as opposed to a hard one.
Exactly. Yeah, if you already have an account with them, they usually don't. Yeah. That's correct. All right. I see Charles. He has his hand up. I want to give him a chance to speak. Go ahead, Charles.
Hey there, man. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I can't complain. I came in at the end, but it looked like you was dropping some fire, man. I
I
hope this gonna
appreciate
be
it.
on the replay, right, Lewis?
Yeah. Yes. It will be. We
Okay.
posted.
Okay. Well, I have a couple questions for you.
Go ahead.
One of my questions is well, I agree with everybody. Amex is a gold mine, man. They really been showing me love. I have nightmares about Amex calling me for that what's that when they want to do a account review.
Financial review.
Yeah, I have nightmares about that.
Yeah. it is scary. Yeah, I've had it happen to a few of my friends. Yeah.
I just went through one, man. It
Oh
wasn't that
man.
bad, honestly.
Yeah, it
Well,
depends on
right
the
now
rep that you get.
my finances are all over the place, so it would be hard to get it in order for them right now. So that's why I'm scrambling, trying to get everything of like where it need to be.
Mhm.
And like I say, just because we're on this call today, I just looked at my credit report on experience, and I went down. Let's see, I went down 16 points, and I hear
Mhm.
that could trigger a financial review as well.
Usually when it's under 680, that's when it really triggers financial review. Sometimes it's like randomized. It's kind of like getting tax audit. Like my mom with her restaurant, we just closed and it's her first year in business and she got audited.
Mm,
And we asked her why. Is there anything wrong with the like tax return? No, nothing triggered it. It just she got picked randomly. So I had a
wow.
couple of my friends who had perfect credit history, 800 scored that got financial review. But
Yeah.
some other clients of mine, they got financial review because it was like their score tanked by like 70, 80 points and they're below 700. And then that
Oh,
triggered.
well, even with it going down 600, I mean not 600 points. I hope that don't never happen to me.
Yeah.
But even with it going down 16 points, I'm still at 747 on experience.
You'll be fine, brother. I wouldn't worry
Okay.
about it.
Okay. So with that being said, like say I really, man, I've been patiently waiting to get in the chase, and right now
Uh,
I'm data mining with them. I put like 5,000 in my business bank account. And I've just been letting it sit because I've been told to let it sit for like 90 days.
yeah. With Chase, doesn't matter. We never had it be an issue. Wells Fargo, you need to let it sit for 60 days. If you don't let
I
it, they usually deny it. So when you apply.
so you recommend putting a large amount of money in the business Wells Fargo account
Yeah.
and letting it sit for 60
Only need to
days?
open business checking. If you're applying for only business, which that's what I recommend, only open business checking and just put like 2,000, the bare minimum. But Wells Fargo is the only one that we've seen data point time after time that you gotta open at least for 60 days. Every other account can do it for a few days a week and apply right away and no issues.
Okay. Well, I kind of feel like I know why my score went down by 16 points because unfortunately I just opened a Wells Fargo personal account and I got a personal credit card, which was like
Oh, that's fine.
at
That's
first
fine.
they gave me 3,000 and I called in. I was like, that's less than half of my lowest card. And they was like, well, what do you recommend? I said, well, give me half of my highest card. And at the time, it was my Navy Federal at like 30. So they
Yeah,
gave me 15,000 just before
good,
the card even came.
good. That's
And
perfect.
and I maxed that. Oh well, I liquidated that just to like say for one, put some money over there in my Chase account and pay down some of my other accounts. But
Yeah.
now I got a new inquiry on my experience.
Yeah,
So
your score, if you did you do it on the personal? You got a personal credit card?
yep, I got a personal Wells
Zero
Fargo.
percent? 0%?
Yeah, 0% for 21 months.
Okay, your score is going to go down more. I'm just letting you know. If you max it out and you liquidate it, your score is going to go down at least 40 to 50 points because you maxed out your personal card, which that's fine. It's temporary. Like credit is a game, brother. It's like playing chess. As long as you know you're going to pay it back at some point and then you're going to get funding like in a few months, 6 months from now, and you pay back your well, what is it that Wells Fargo card and pay down the personal usage to under 10% or at least 30% or under, you'll be fine. You could apply for funding right away. Like don't be too phased on how much score go up and down. I don't even check my credit. I check it every 6 months because I know my play, which is going to be, hey, I maxed out, like, let's say a personal credit card or all my business credit cards. I know I'm going to pay it back in 6 months. I already have my projections that I have multiple sources of income, right? I know I'm going to pay it back. So once I do pay it back, and then, okay, now I'm ready for funding. I erase all my inquiries. I do another round of funding. Oh, my first LLC maxed out on business credit cards. Perfect. I have a second LLC already ready to go. Like I built that in 30, 40 days with my CPA, or you could do it on legalzoom.com for like 500 bucks or less. And then you could do it fresh again, brand new 0% business credit cards. Like I don't change, I don't check my score changes. As long as it's 720 plus, I'm fine because I have 52 credit cards, like 20 on the personal, like 32 on business, And I just keep doing different LLCs. I have 6 LLCs and I just keep getting different business funding. If I need it for
Nice.
another project for Airbnb, I bought a home with 0% credit cards. I liquidated everything, only charge 3% on different liquidation sites. If you need help, I have all the resources for free. And then
Nice.
I just bought a house, all the furniture, I put it on my card. And then within it was 15 months, no interest with like Citi and a couple other ones, right? And I paid it all back within 15 months because I have my active income. You're always going to keep working. You're not just going to sit around, right? And then you have like your Airbnb and rental income, and then combine that, like I paid everything off, So it's and so what I'm trying to say with that, I digress. With you, as long as you have a goal in mind, 3 months, 6 months, I'm going to pay all that back with e-commerce, my active income, and then get funding, like you're fine. So I wouldn't be too much stressed out with the score changes as long as you know your play and the objective of you getting funding, like, and you have no negatives or lates on your report. That's all that matters. If you have
Right.
lates in collections charge off, that's
None of
stress.
it.
That was
Yeah, I
stress.
have none of that.
Yeah, that would stress me out. I'm like, okay, now I got to remove this, and like I'm on a time crunch. Okay, I got to delete this before I could do anything. I'm strapped, right? But if you have no negatives and you're just trying to pay off balances, hey, man, sky's the limit to you as long as you know your play.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it'd be better? Because I had applied for Navy Federal Business, and from what I could understand about in the rejection letter that they gave me is like
Uh-huh.
I'm using too much of my business credit, which is probably like I'm probably maxed out at like 7,000. Like say I got the Plum American Express, I got the Platinum Business American Express, and I got
Uh-huh.
the blue business blue cash or whatever.
Yeah,
And the cash is maxed out. They only gave me like a 2,000 limit at that. And the Plum, I've just paid half of that down because it's in 60-day
good.
increments.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Right.
and my American Express Business Platinum, it's a charge card. So every month,
Right.
I
Every
gotta
moment.
if
Exactly.
I gotta sell a leg to pay it off, that's just what they want. That's just what they want. So would
Exactly.
you recommend that I take the money out of that I got data mining with Chase to pay down those business accounts and then try to
Yeah, I would if you only have so first thing is like I mentioned, 720 plus score, you have that. No lates or no negatives. Thirdly, you want before you pay your balances down, you got to check how many inquiries you have. In the last 6 months, how many inquiries do you have? If it's more than two, you
two.
got to delete those. Okay. But were they open accounts? Were they approved?
One of them was oh no, it was three. But okay, one of them was the Citizens Bank. Then I got the American Airlines card,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Just
then I got the Wells
uh,
Fargo card.
okay. So all three were approved though, right? They're open
All
accounts.
three was approved, right?
Okay, perfect. Well, we can't delete those inquiries because it could risk shutting down the account. Most half the time it doesn't, but I don't want you to risk anything. So like I don't know which banks are gonna all of a sudden just like close randomly, that could happen. And it has happened with my previous clients when I first did inquiry removal. So I wouldn't delete those inquiries. So you're fine on that part. Um, as far as you getting funding now, it'll be lowering down your usage. Personal, I always recommend doing less than 10% to max out your fundability rate. But if you're strapped on cash, do under 30%. If you pass 30% and over, they usually deny your application. Or they'll give you $1,000 limit, which you don't want that. It's like, what do you do with $1,000 limit, right?
Are you speaking on the business side or the personal side?
I'm speaking on both personal and business.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
with that being
uh,
said, that city gave me a card, and I was going to dispute it before I even activated the card or used it because they only
uh,
gave me like a $500 limit. And
that's pretty bad. Yeah.
yeah, like
I
say
would I
my
would
lowest,
dispute that inquiry. Yeah, I would dispute that inquiry.
so so just pay it off and dispute it.
Yeah, pay it off and dispute it. If they close the account down, I personally don't think it'll even matter if you close down the account because it has no age and no history. Like it can't really negative affect you as long as you pay that account back. Like pay that 500, no problem. You know. And on the business credit side, your business credit cards, if you max it out, you want to pay under 30% as well. But if you're strapped on cash, you want to do at least less than 50%. So two different. Personal side, you want 10% or under. or if you're strapped on cash, 30% or under. That's the last minimum. Business side, they check a little less, but they do have an effect on how much you get in funds. So the best is under 30% you pay down on the business credit card. But if you're strapped on cash, you need it right away, you got to get funding, then at least under 50%. Especially if you're attacking Chase. Let's say Chase is maxed out, or you're trying to apply for another 0% Amex card. Those banks or those credit card company, you want to pay off as much as you can under 30% because they have an internal log of how much you spend. So if you're passing more than 50% usage, then they're like, I'm not approving this guy for anything. They have an internal log. Obviously, you're an account member, so they can see how much you're using, right?
Right.
But other banks still have a internal note saying, oh, if you pass a certain amount of utilization, they get flagged. So that's why I recommend paying down below 50% on the business side, 30% or less on the personal.
Well, I'm already below 30 on. Well, I'm probably like 22, maybe
Yeah, that's
23%
good.
on the personal
Then
side.
you're straight. You're straight. Yeah.
Okay, so I should prioritize just paying down the business side of it.
Yeah. Just under 50%. Yeah, and then you could apply right away. But you want to make sure when you pay the balance off, on the business side, you could apply right away. But on the personal side, let's say it's higher than 30%, you just paid it down below 20%. You want to make sure in the future that updates to the credit bureau, that usage and the score goes up. You want that to
So wait
update
30
before you
days.
apply. Wait 30 days before you apply. Yeah,
Okay.
make sure the
But on
score
the
goes
business
up
side, I could do it right away.
right away because yeah, it doesn't affect your personal at all.
Okay, well, I got a scenario that if it's okay, I run by you. Like, say, I was at like 30,000 with my Navy Federal. I just went for an increase. Now they put me at like
Yeah.
37,000.
Okay.
I got some money I could liquidate there. Would you recommend I liquidate that, pay off those business cards, and then go for business funding, or that's probably not a good idea?
Wait, where are you liquidating? I'm confused. Like the
With my Navy Federal, since I got like 38,000, they let me get $11,000 cash advance.
is it a loan?
I kind of do it every month, as long as I pay it back before the due date.
Yeah.
I rarely see minimum interest.
Yeah. If it's a minimum interest and it's a cash loan, like cash advance and straight money into your account, you could basically just pay off all your cards and then run funding. I sometimes have my clients do that where they're personal, they have like a 50% usage, their business is maxed out, but they could still get a personal loan of 30 to 50K and just pay off everything. And then we could do funding rounds and then they get 100K, 200K and 0% funding. And because their
Nice.
APY is low, they know exactly, okay, I'm gonna pay $500-600 a month. That's cool with me. As long as I could get 100, 150K, I know how to scale it and make more money. So like we tell them all the precautions. Hey, you're taking out a personal loan so that you can get more funding, but you got to pay everything off if you don't want
Right.
accruing interest. So we do that strategy as well. For certain clients with high usage, we take out personal loans.
Okay. Okay. And then where do you say we need to go to? Because you say as far as a free resource that you say other ways of liquidating your card.
Yeah, let me type it here, Amelia. And then plus, I'll type it in the chat right now.
Nice.
There's two websites, melio.com and plastic.com. They're
Well,
two
I've been
liquid.
trying to pay my card note with plastic.com, and for some reason they saying that this account that you can't use plastic, and I thought like which is my first thing I ever tried to pay on there. They said you can't use it. They you have to pay them cash or something. And I've been hearing about Melio, but I've never got around to it.
Personally, I never had any issues with any of my clients and I. One person had an issue, but usually Melio and plastic both work. If plastic doesn't work out for you, try Melio. And
Okay.
if both doesn't work, the another way, and I want everybody to write this down. If you have a PayPal account or like a Square or Stripe account, you can just invoice to yourself. What I mean by that is, let's say, like, you invoice, quote unquote, like in a different email. Let's say you have 50K credit card that you got. You want to liquidate 10K. You invoice to a different email with a fake name and just say, hey, pay this invoice, send it to that email, and then you pay with that credit card that you have with the 0%, and then you pay that invoice, but you're just really invoicing yourself. It's just to a different email, and then you pay
Aren't
that
you
off.
creating a taxable event when you do that though?
No,
No.
no, because it's just liquidated. You just pay a 3% fee. But when you explain it to your accountant, it's like, hey, this was just like a way to liquidate, and it's not taxable.
Okay. Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate it.
Of
I think that's
course.
I think that's it for me. And just
I
just to
think
go
that
over the
that
note, you said
that
just go
might
ahead pay up.
be a
Cause
taxable event, I believe,
I'm sorry,
because it's
say that
income
again.
for you. I wonder if that is a taxable event because that will be income to your business.
That's what I
No,
thought.
no, it's not an income because you're gonna be because how they look at it, and you can talk to your accountant. I've spoke to my account many times in regards to this factor because I liquidate so many times. I was like, is this gonna be taxed? Because I don't want it being taxed, because I eventually pay the card back, and that's a deduction. And so it segregates that it doesn't appear as income because you're paying that invoice, but then at the same time you're paying it. I don't know how to explain it. Like I would just say instead of me explaining it, like you just talk to an accountant. But I never had an issue because my taxes are really low and I pay less than 7% a year out of my gross income. So I would talk to your accountant because as long as you explain it to them, because I was confused too. I was like, maybe what if I pay taxes on this? Even if I live in Texas or Nevada, I still have to pay taxes on an income that you make, right? But if you explain it, hey, these category of purchases when they do the bookkeeping or when they do your returns, you print out the statements or the credit card statements that you got charged on, and then explain it to them as like, hey, this is just like my way of liquidating it because I put it into another asset or another ad spend or paying off my credit cards. And they're like, okay, like I'll note that and like don't worry about it. And like I'll make sure that it's not taxed because you're liquidating for your own company. And so I never had an issue with it. But I would instead of hearing from me, I would definitely just ask your tax accountant.
Okay, sounds great. Well, that's it for me,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Thanks
I
for
think
taking the
that's the
time.
key. It's in the bookkeeping, right?
Yeah, and like have a bookkeeper. Like I have my own bookkeeper, and then I have a separate like CPA. Like because if they both do it, like it costs more. So I have like a bookkeeper that I hire for cheap, for like maybe 700-800 bucks or $1,000 a year. And then my CPA who does the actual filing and the tax strategies, I pay him like a couple thousand. But like I'm making more income now, so I could pay him for tax strategies, right? It's not just like a basic filing method. So I explained it to them all these things like, hey, I liquidated like 150K like this year, just make sure that these aren't taxable because I used it towards a real estate purchase where I had to pay, it was like a borrowed debt with my credit card and I paid it back within 6 months. So I explained these transactions to them and obviously I just kind of let them do their magic. So
Okay, sounds
One
good. Thanks a lot, man.
last quick
yeah, of course.
question for you, if you have time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so you said you part of the playbook is to open many different LLCs and businesses. How do you have your overall enterprise structure, if you don't mind me asking? Are they all separate
They're,
businesses
they're
or
all
are they all under
separate.
a holding
Yeah,
company?
they're all separate. And the reason is I started business when I was 17. I'm 28 now. Obviously I wasn't making any income for the first 4 or 5 years. And so I just set it up just like how anybody else would through LegalZoom. And then I got an accountant and then I had a tax strategist. And then I, you know, played, hired different agencies, different accountants to maximize like my deductions and pay less taxes. So it was evolving over time. And now I hire an attorney to structure my LLC as well. But really, you don't really need to worry about your structure until you're making, in my honest opinion, until you're making like 300,000-400,000 a year in revenue, and income. Like you really don't need a big structure. The only reason why you would need structure is like protection. So for ecom, um, my CPA told me you don't really need a structure, and I think that's very based on every accountant. The only reason why I recently got a trust and a couple different holding company with like other management companies underneath. I have different Airbnb and short-term rental partners, and we own different homes. Like I have 3 homes under management, like 3 different companies under like a holding company. And then above the holding company is the trust. So that owns everything. So in case I get lawsuits by someone who broke their face or something and they try to sue us, okay, like we can cancel out the management company, but our holding company and our trust is still protected, right? There's extra layers, right? So that's the only reason why I had to get a trust and an attorney to structure it, I guess, correctly for my protection and for my partner's protection, so that we keep getting continuous cash flow. But for e-commerce and consulting agency, I just don't see why you would need a structure built like that, unless you wanted to for extra layer of protection. You can just hire like a tax attorney to do those legal work for you.
Yeah, for sure. I have a similar similar interest to you. I have real estate as well. And then any future business endeavors, like I'm thinking I might want to go ahead and look into the trust, because I know if I'm going to be doing more and more stuff, then it'll be easier to open everything up within the trust as opposed to
Right,
having to move everything over
right,
later down the road.
right, right.
Uh so yeah, good stuff, man. Look, I'm definitely gonna reach out to you so we can work together after this call. So thanks again for your time.
No, of course, absolutely. And then I'll take 2 more questions, but one
Just I
question
have
at
just
a
one
time.
more.
Okay, okay.
Um, and so if I shoot for Chase and on the business side, even though I got 2 personal credit cards with them and I don't get accepted, would you recommend disputing that or just leave it alone because it's
Yeah, if you
Chase?
didn't get approved, then obviously you should go ahead and try to remove that inquiry and submit file letters, use ChatGPT or Experian, just call, say this was unauthorized, and they take it off immediately. I would definitely do that so that you could increase your fundability down the line when you apply again.
You don't think that'll hurt my current accounts that I have with them though?
No, no. If it's a denied Chase inquiry and you give them that specific like that specific date when you got the inquiry, it only removes that inquiry. It doesn't affect any of your other Chase accounts.
Nice.
I've done it for myself a million times. That's why I feel confident saying that.
Perfect. Okay, nice, man. You have a good one, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. And now I'll take 2 more questions from 2 different people, 1 question each. If anybody has one. Everyone's muted, by the way, though.
Does anyone have a question before we go?
I do. I have a quick question.
Hi, Tammy.
Hey,
Go
Um,
ahead.
Hi. So about 3 years ago, I had absolutely no credit,
Uh-huh.
none. So I started building my credit, and I've got a good credit profile right now.
Uh,
But in the process of building my credit, I had a family member add me as an AU to
okay.
his 7-year-old credit card. And the
Okay.
credit card is in good standing, except it has high utilization. So I'm wondering if I should just have him remove me from his card, or should I don't know. I still have a good credit score with his card, but I'm just worried about getting rid of that 7-year age on my credit.
Yeah, I hear you. First thing I was gonna ask is what's the age on the personal credit line? You said 7 years, right?
Yes,
And then what's the credit limit on that card?
it's only 2,500. He doesn't want to try to increase his limits or anything. I've talked to him
Okay.
about that.
And
And
what's the
he's about
utilization? What's the
it's about
utilization?
58% right now.
Oh, that's fine. Just have him pay back over time and it'll be fine. As long as it's under
Yeah,
30.
he does pay it back, but then he ends up putting more on the card, and so it's kind of
Yeah,
back and forth.
that's fine. You never want to delete that AU because that 7 year credit history is rock star. Like you want to
Yeah.
keep, that's really hard to get these days. So I would just yeah, and that's temporary. Like he could always pay it back. So what, like let's say you're gonna get funding down the line just on your own or
Hmm.
through an agency like mine and do all the funding, right? 50 to 100K is a goal. If you want to max out your fundability rate, you just want to have him be mindful of spending. Just like, hey, just keep it under 10% just for like 60 days and then wait for that to update and then do rounds of funding like on your own or hire an agency to do it for you.
Okay. All right. We can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, my credit score is about 770. even with that card. So
Yeah, that's great.
not
And
too
then
bad.
when he lowered the usage, it'll be another 10, 20 point increase. So that's perfect. That's great.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. And then one last question from someone different.
Yeah, Tammy's a 10K a month seller, by the way, bro. Crushing
Let's
it.
go. Awesome. That's
The
great.
perfect definition of OPM, right?
OPM. Let's go. Yeah, I know nothing about ecom, but definitely leverage that to buy property. So it's good. Either way, as long as it makes money through using the banks, it's good.
Love it.
All right,
Last
one more
question before we
question.
go.
Last
Seems a busy
question.
man. He has a lot going on, so
No, you're good. No, I love making time for Lewis and his people. So yeah, any other question, Tiv? There's Steve, Gcon, Waze,
I think we're
Wise.
good, bro.
Okay, I think
Yeah,
everybody's good.
so yeah, if you can just guys just follow Steve, please. So I'm gonna put his IG in the chat. He's also being kind enough to offer a free consultation because of course everyone is different, right? And you guys are not gonna expose your business here in public, so it's better to talk to Steve in private, and that way he can really give you like an idea on what to do next. Because he can get more details from you. And with that, can you also give Steve like some type of reaction, a thank you in the chat for taking his time to be here tonight?
Appreciate everybody hopping on too. Yeah, just whenever you just like message me if you have questions, just say you're from Lewis's group so I know that you guys were on this call or from his community, and that I'll give you guys a discount if you move forward with any of our service, or at least like a consultation of anything that you need. So
All right, everyone. Let's see. All right. Thanks again, Steve, bro.
of course.
Appreciate everyone for being here tonight, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right, thank you guys.
See
Have
you
a good
guys.
one.
Thank you.
Guys.